Welcome to the Africa 2100 podcast, the show where we explore the future of business, innovation, and entrepreneurship on the continent. Join us as we dive into real stories, expert insights, and practical strategies to help you build, scale, and succeed. Whether you're a founder, investor, or changemaker, this is your go-to space for ideas that shape the next generation of African businesses. Let's get started.
Hello there. Quick one before we begin today's episode. We've noticed that 80% of you, our listeners, haven't hit the subscribe button yet. And we understand, sometimes you just forget. I would like you to know that subscribing is the best and totally free way to support this podcast. It helps us reach more people, grow this amazing community, and keep bringing you insightful conversations with brilliant minds across Africa and beyond. So if you're listening and learn something new each time, do us a tiny favor. Hit that subscribe button now, wherever you're tuning in from. Okay, let's get on with the episode. Welcome to the Africa 2100 podcast, where we dive deep into the world of business, innovation, and entrepreneurship on the continent. I'm Chudi Obiaya, and today we're talking about one of the biggest decisions entrepreneurs face: transitioning from a side hustle or multiple side hustles to a full-time business. Many founders struggle with knowing when to make the leap and how to do it without unnecessary risk. To help us unpack this, we have two special guests. My good friend, Travis Reed. Travis is the founder of SDLC 101, a strategic partner to organizations seeking excellence in software and solution delivery. With more than 25 years of experience in systems and software development, he has led multiple re-engineering initiatives driving digital transformation, agile adoption, and Lean Six Sigma methodologies across enterprises. Travis is also a strategic partner and supporter of Africa 2100. Welcome, Travis, and thank you for coming on the podcast.
Pleasure to be here.
Dr. Beryl Ehondor is the founder of Beryl Consults, a premier media and communications consultancy specializing in professional development training, leadership communications, and academic research advisory. With a strong focus on C-suite executives, postgraduate scholars, and industry leaders, Beryl empowers professionals with the tools to communicate effectively and lead with confidence. She also serves as Africa 2100's strategic partner in Nigeria, playing a key role in driving entrepreneurship and leadership development across the region. Welcome, Beryl. Let's dive in. Travis, let's begin with you. What are the key signs that the side hustle is financially and operationally ready for full-time focus?
I think for each person, it's going to be individual. The fact that you're in a side hustle typically indicates there's some type of financial component to it. Most people don't do a side hustle for fulfillment or those types of things. So if it's a financial component, then obviously the big checkpoint there is going to be, have I built a sustainable revenue model, consistent income? Do I have good demand, solid demand? And I can expect that demand will continue to grow over time. So I think that's probably the most logical. There are certainly some other ones. Ideally, you've put together a well-formed business plan. You've thought about how you're going to scale if you need to scale. You're getting fulfillment. You enjoy it, right? So again, to me, the key would be starting with that financial component. If that's off the table, then do you have the other things in place that you want in order to make sure that you can turn this into a full-time gig, right? So,
Beryl, when did you know it was the right time to leave your multiple side hustles or your job and go all in on your business?
Thank you, Trudy. I'd start by describing your side hustle as your 5 to 9, that thing you do, that business you work on between 5 p.m. and 9 p.m. when you close from your main job, which is your 9 to 5. Ideally, how you know you're ready to leave your job into your side hustle is when your 5 to 9, your side hustle begins to pay you significantly, more than your 9 to 5. Then you need to start paying attention. Is there consistent revenue? What is the market demand? It's not just a one-off. Is it something that keeps coming that you can build on? There has to be passion, if you are doing that thing, but the consistent revenue and market demand are more important. I didn't even want to transition into entrepreneurship, but I would say entrepreneurship came for me, right? And yeah, today I've made the leap and I'm really happy about it. So you need to understand the times before you make the leap.
So, given that, what financial and operational steps should entrepreneurs take before making a transition, Travis?
Well, I think the key is probably understand what your goals are and certainly put together your business plan. I think that in and of itself will probably be the most likely way to prevent some type of issue in converting into a full-time type of situation. That would include market research. That's going to make sure that you've thought about funding, taking away your primary source of revenue in order to pursue this side hustle as a full-time gig. Obviously has some financial impact. So, and then the network that you put in place around you. Do you have folks that can support you? Have you thought about some things related to going full time, tax implications or those types of things? So, again, I really think the key thing here is put together the business plan, make sure you're clear about your goals, and then use that side hustle as a way to validate some of the assumptions that you made in your business plan, and maybe help you do some market research, that type of thing. And then once you have built that sustainable model for revenue on the side hustle, then you can determine, and ideally in the business plan, you will have determined at what level you need that revenue to be steady in order to convert it, or the demand to be queued up in order to convert into that full-time opportunity.
Beryl, did you have a plan? How did you prepare before taking the leap, and what do you wish you had done differently?
Okay. First off, I didn't even have a business plan, to be honest, right? I had people coming at me, help me do this, help me do that. And I kept doing these things and they were paying me for it. In fact, at some point I struggled with imposter syndrome, like, okay, wow, I'm really doing this. Okay. Well, eventually I made the transition, and before I did that, I went to do a mini MBA. I realized I had the knowledge, I could do the work, but understanding how business would run, I did a mini MBA to equip me. Okay. And that helped me to put some structure in the business. And for you who are doing your 9 to 5, you're thinking, hey, I want to transition to become an entrepreneur. Look, you need to have at least 6 months to 1 year living expenses in your account before you take the leap. You need to have that money. You need to. And when you have dependents, you've got a family, you've got kids, it becomes even more tricky. In fact, some of those monies may enter the running cost of the business. So you need to have that planned out. Entrepreneurship is a fit work, and you need to plan, you need to foresee best and worst case scenario. You need to know your numbers. What are your personal expenses? What are your savings? What's the potential income from this side hustle? Again, back to the numbers. The numbers are so important. So important. You need a mentor. You need people to talk to you, to count. You think you are the best thing since sliced bread. It's not true. You sure can become one of the best things since sliced bread, but you're not all that. So you need to plan for everything. So those are things I think you can do to prepare before taking a leap. Test the model, test the business, make sure you have a paying customer. If there's no paying customer, maintain your 9 to 5 for the time being until you have proven that the business can work.
So, Travis, what foundational strategies can help entrepreneurs accelerate growth after making that transition to full time?
Um, again, I go back to ideally you've identified them as part of the business plan, and I think it depends greatly upon what your side hustle is. So, a simple example: if your side hustle is delivering groceries, right, and you want to turn that into a full-time gig opportunity or business, at that point, you should have put in place some key metrics in order to validate appropriate demand, associated revenue growth, those types of things. So uh, I don't know that it's a one size fits all type of situation. I think for each person, you have to determine, again, your financial position, what things you put in place from a plan standpoint, what risk you're willing to assume. For some people, they'll throw their last dollar behind their own business ideas. For other folks, they're less open to taking on those risks, or they may have folks that they that depend on them in order to get through life and things like that. So again, I think for each person, you have to really identify that and tease that out as you're putting together that business plan in order to make sure that you're comfortable with the amount of risk that you're taking on.
Beryl, once you transitioned from your multiple hustles to a main hustle, or made your side hustle your main hustle, what strategies helped you maintain that financial stability and growth?
On strategies that can, help you maintain financial stability and grow, I say number one, know your customer and be ready to give them excellent service. Relationship is key in business, in entrepreneurship. You've got to maintain that relationship for the kind of business I operate. In fact, most of what the new businesses I've gotten have been more from referrals than any form of advertisement. All right. So you've got to manage those relationships with your customer. They will help you grow. Even your family, your immediate network, they will help you grow. You've got to secure that. Your product or your service, it must be excellent. You can't make mistake on that. Check and recheck your business processes. You know, like I mentioned earlier, you may not be the best in sliced bread, but you sure can become one of the best. Cut down costs, save, cut down cost as much as possible. Do you have to go rent an office space? How about using your garage, using your apartment? All right, and optimize social media. Visibility is so key in doing business these days. These are, just a few ways you can maintain financial stability and grow. Please save. Just do everything to cut down costs.
Thanks, Beryl. Today's discussion made one thing clear. Transitioning from side hustles to a full-time business requires careful planning, financial readiness, and the right mindset. Travis talked a lot about business plan. Have a plan. Have a business plan is crucial. It's a delicate balance. Don't quit prematurely, but also don't hold on to a job too long at the expense of the growth of your business. Financial preparation is something that Beryl had mentioned. And she recommends that you have at least 6 months living expenses in savings to tide you while you try to make that transition, because it will take some time for your side hustle becoming or generating sufficient income to keep you going. There is also the transition requiring a mindset shift, the discipline. Travis talked about having decision-making metrics to guide you and inform making that transition and executing. You should have a strategy that you're executing on once you make the transition. So before we wrap up, I'd love for each of you to share one final piece of advice for entrepreneurs considering this transition.
Sure. I'm big on metrics. I would say write down your goals, make sure that you're managing them, make sure that they're smart, and then remain focused on the goals. That to me, that's the key to any successful plan, executing any successful plan. And then make the side hustle a habit. Don't put it off. Make sure that you're consistent about it. Those are things that are really going to help you validate that, hey, this is fulfilling for me and financially it's satisfying my needs. And I really think that's the way to go. So I would say start with SMART goals and then build a habit to execute on them.
So let me ask a follow-up question before we go to Beryl for her final advice. Travis, what about those who believe that they need multiple side hustles, that there's no need to focus on just the one side hustle, make the transition? Any word of advice for those?
Yeah. So again, if the side hustles are really just financial side hustles and only one of them is around what you want to pursue from a business standpoint, again, I think it's fairly easy to say the business plan should be associated with that. If you're doing multiple side hustles for financial purposes, you want to focus your energy on that primary one. And then where you have opportunity, you want to expand those other ones. And I would look to ways to leverage those. Maybe use them to build your customer networks or do market research. Maybe I'm delivering groceries and the business that I have has something to do with building a new set of cleaning services. So as I'm delivering groceries, I ask people, hey, have you ever signed up for a cleaning service? And I start to get potential customer lists and things like that as part of my side hustle. So I would tend to find a way to weave in to the other side hustles some contribution to your primary side hustle and the one that you want to grow long term.
That's helpful. Thank you. Beryl?
All right, my advice to those considering this transition, I'd say first off, give your best in your 9 to 5. That place you're working presently, do not cheat them on time because you really don't want people cheating you when you start your business. While you're at work, your main job, give it your best. And then focus when you have to do your own business. That 1 hour you spend on Instagram Reels can be spent doing market research on how to better your service or your products in your side hustle. So you've got to learn to manage time effectively. You've got to discipline yourself. You've got to focus. You've got to become accountable to mentors. There are people around who are on this entrepreneurship journey, and they can give you good advice that will help you to succeed effectively. I would say also save a lot, cut down cost, every unnecessary spending, cut it out, okay? Manage your time effectively. Time is so essential. You can't play with that. You can't afford to joke with your time, and you don't have to throw everything outside, but you sure can find strategies to advance what you are doing. Tell your own story. You don't know, you just might be lifting someone up. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Beryl. The one additional piece I would throw in is focusing on one business rather than spreading across multiple hustles increases the chances of success. I think you can interpret that from what Travis talked about. Travis mentioned that you should try to connect the dots between all of the side hustles rather than having disparate side hustles where one cannot feed the other. Thank you both for your insights and experiences. And to our listeners, if you're on this journey or thinking about making a leap, take these lessons to heart. A huge thank you to our guests, Beryl and Travis, for taking their time out to be on this episode. If you know someone navigating this transition, share this episode with them. And remember to subscribe for more entrepreneurial insights. See you next time. Goodbye.
That's it for today's episode of the Africa 2100 podcast. If you found value in this conversation, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. For more insights on building and scaling your startup, stay connected with us. Until next time, keep innovating, keep building, and let's shape the future of African business.